It's the time again. It's time for Tuesday night, the Buddy Martin Show. A little quiet around here tonight compared to what it's been these last couple of days. Huge crowd on Monday night, and of course with Shane Matthews this morning. So we'll take it a little bit slower today, as my friend Irvine used to say about out in Denver. We'll have David Whitley join us momentarily. Loren Meadows, the coach, will join us. I had this terrific interview that Chris Storing did with Graham Mertz, but I have not able to resolve the differences in technology of it to get it on the air. But anyway, it's your night to talk, so come join us and tell us what your thoughts are about. It's a time to relax, take a breath, think about maybe not having to worry about a game being won or lost this weekend, get your nerves calm, and get ready for what I'm going to call. I've decided, make a decision. I'm going to call it the cocktail party. What do you think? Let's do it. I bet David Whitley will do that. Stand by. The Buddy Martin Show is about to be on the air.
Yes, it's time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye.
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Good evening. Welcome to the program. I'm Buddy Martin, hatless tonight. I'm going to go without the hat tonight. And been wearing it all day long. Hair all tousled, whatever. Good to be with you tonight. It's kind of an easy peasy night. Let's talk about some nonsensical things. Maybe not drill down as much on the emotions as we have been these recent weeks. And we'll get your thoughts. I see weighing in. Tommy Seal agrees with me. Let's call it the cocktail party. What the heck? They ain't going to tell us what to call it. It's a cocktail party. It always has been and always will be. Whether you drink or not, it's the cocktail. World's largest outdoor cocktail party. So that's where we're going with. I see that you're weighing in now. Dilly David Baldoff, Kenny Hawthorne, Tommy Seal, Becky Carlisle. Good to see you back, Becky, and good to have you in the program again. Make your comments there. We'll get them posted as fast as we can tonight. We expect at some point David Whitley will probably show up. He may be having computer problems. Brendan has the night off again, so he won't be there. So it might just be you and I tonight. How about it? Can we make this work? We've been doing this a while. We should be able to do it again. So, yeah. So I can't get off this South Carolina kick. And today on Shane's show, several people said, well, it was just South Carolina. Okay, so what? It was a huge win. No matter how you slice it, it wasn't beating Alabama in the SEC championship game. But as I said, I hope you agree with me tonight that this win at this time was the very thing that Billy Napier needed in his program to get it jump-started. I pre-recorded the segment with Alec, which will play tomorrow night. We talked about this, that this time this win was as big as Billy Napier's had in 21 games. So now, with the cocktail party coming, thanks Charles Lewis for joining in on that. Robert Turner, hello to you from Hawaii. This is going to be a fascinating week. Why? Well, playing Georgia is always interesting these days. And you've got a team that's holding on to what it has, and a team trying to come for something that it hasn't has. And Florida this time is the hunter, and Georgia's the hunted. Whatever that means, we know that things are only going up for the Florida Gators. We suspect things are still up for Georgia. I don't know what the line. Anybody know what the line is? I haven't seen it, or what the line might be on this game next week. Probably haven't made it yet, but Georgia will be favored by, I don't know, 12, 13, 14 points probably. You want some of that? I don't know. I'm not ready to say they're going to beat Georgia, but I am going to say I'm expecting a very good effort for lots of reasons, not the least as we could. Yes, David, I'll send you the link. David, I can't get the link again. Yes, so you don't have to project that that this is going to be a big upset if Florida's going to win the game. What we all wanted to see is what Buck Wade sees. Georgia is beatable, yes. And I heard about what Beamer did, Tommy. I heard that. So we want to see progress. What I really liked about this win was it came at a time when Billy did his best coaching. He saw some problems. The team was not getting off the mark right. They were sleepwalking into the first period, as we saw a couple of times, and he did something different. Now, I don't know what he did. It was all that different, but whatever it was, produced result. That's coaching. That's what you call coaching. You see something you don't like, change it. And I like that about him. And also said this about it, that the way that he has embraced all that Florida football is, and we know what that means, includes, as Shane said this morning, what Steve Spurrier has done, what Urban Meyer's done, and now just his general comments about, my wife asked me why Steve Spurrier said we should throw the ball down the field. I like that he is humbling himself enough to not take it as criticism, but take it as part of what the joining in the dialogue. I think sometimes we felt like Billy was just above it all and really not paying attention to us down here. I think that shows that he's like the rest of it. He's waiting to see. He wants to know about this too, and he's got his ideas, and he hears it. He hears us, right? That's what we want to know. That we sent this link to David Whitley. He seems not to be able to find it. And so I think that's refreshing. At least I found it. What do you think? I found it refreshing. And I think we got a coach who knows what has to be done. We've always kind of thought he knew what had to be done, but now we realize he responds, and that's what we want to see. So while we wait for David Whitley to find the link, let's go ahead and thank our sponsors for tonight and start off with hearing from our friends at Meldon Law on this Tuesday night Buddy Martin Show. Jeffrey, you do a show where you ask a lot of questions. I've got one for you right now, okay, regarding how do you know whether your case is being handled right and what to do about it. In medicine, you can get a second opinion if you're not satisfied with the doctor's opinion that they have. And do you have that in law? Can you do that with lawyers?
Yeah, buddy. As a matter of fact, we get quite a few calls from folks that have signed up, particularly with the big box law firms, that they do a hell of a good job of putting ads on TV, but after that, they don't really measure up to the way we try to create a client experience that's outstanding. And we're always willing to review a case and give a second opinion, just like with a doctor, because not all law firms are created equal.
I guess that's the normal thing. Just go to Meldon Law, Google it, and find out, and just give them a call. And like you say, if you come in, you get to see a Meldon. You don't get shuffled off to somebody else. You get to see a Meldon, and that's good to know, because a lot of people don't know how to do that stuff, like me. And maybe you can coach us. So Meldon Law, they won't back down. They will take your questions about your case if you have a question.
Yes, whether it's a new case or an existing case, give us a call. We'd be glad to go over it with you. There's no charge to review your case with you. And a lot of times it makes good sense just to get a second opinion.
Good stuff from Meldon Law. They don't back down, but they will give you a second opinion. Meldon Law, where they won't back down, and they do take you seriously as well. Check them out. I think we finally made connection. Earth to David. Let's see. His new computer is so fancy, he can't run it anymore. Let's see if he got it working this time. There he is. What's up, David? How you doing, buddy?
The Bentley was a little bit late this evening.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. The car got there too late for you and probably flustered you. But you're back now in full form, and you're just the guy. You're defiant enough to do this. I made a decision today. I'm tired of pussyfooting around. I'm calling it the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. That's what it's always been.
Oh,
right?
yes.
What the heck?
I'm all for it. I'm all for calling it the Gator Bowl instead of TIAA Bank Field, Alltel Stadium.
Okay. Listen, every town. Yes. Look, I mean, even in New York, they call Yankee Stadium the stadium. Every sports writer has their own name in the town. So it's Steve Spurrier Field, for Florida Field. I don't call it Ben Hill Griffin. I mean, if you refer to the stadium, I guess you should. Let's talk in language we can understand. And it's the, damn it, world's largest outdoor cocktail party. That's what it is.
I think that may have been one of the first games I ever attended with my father growing up in Jacksonville. And I recall this was early 70s. And I hadn't been in a lot of bars at that point in my life, but I remember walking through the parking lot and just being overwhelmed by this sweet smell. And I thought, what is that?
Bourbon.
That's alcohol, son. He was a Baptist minister. I said, you know what that smells like? He said, oh, I know what it smells like. And I remember there are the huge 55-gallon drum trash cans that they had there, and people were just going by and just filling it up with Jack Daniels and early times and stuff on their way in. And some of them weren't even dropping it there; they were just taking it into the stadium. Yeah. And it was and who was Bill Castells, the legendary?
Yes, he was Jacksonville Florida Times senior columnist.
Yep, came up with that phrase, and it fit. And I get with it in this day and age, you can't seen as anything that might endorse excessive drinking, blah blah blah. But I think that.
But we can, David. We don't have to answer that. Who's telling us what to do? We're doing what we want to do here, aren't we?
Yeah. Because I'm as against people getting the term is dookie faced, I guess, as much as anybody. But I don't think anybody's going to drink to excess just because. Wait a minute. It's called the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. I need to drink more than I would otherwise.
Right. Or less, and that will not happen. My earliest recollection of it was when I was a young sports writer and used to travel to Jacksonville. We usually stayed in the Roosevelt Hotel downtown. And late at night, it's always been a day game. I remember many times waking up to the sound of glass breaking on the side of the building. And guess what it was? Pints being thrown against the brick walls. All of that, and the place reeked of bourbon every time. That's what it was. I'm not saying we have to endorse that lifestyle, but one thing is great. Convivial, is that a word? That Georgia and Florida fans actually party together. I mean, I have friends of mine who are Auburn fans who go to fans who live on Ponte Vedra Boulevard did. And they go. I went with them one time. Went to a Georgia party and a Florida party. We don't get to go to many of those kind of car parties, but it's what it is. The social part of this is so important. And this is why this game can never move out of Jacksonville. Maybe while they work on the stadium, but that's it. So I'm glad you're with me. Let's be rebels, David. Say it after me. The world's largest outdoor cocktail party. Yes, thank you very much. I feel better. We can always just say it's a political party, right? It's a political party. That's what it's called. We're large that.
And I really like the old days when they had the state fair there during the game.
Yeah,
it just added to the whole atmosphere and all that. But and it is different than anything. I mean, people. Sure, I imagine there's probably RVs in the parking lot right now getting warmed up 2 weeks.
In advance. They got
know.
way ahead of time for sure. And you did grow up there, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, I got older. I don't know if I've ever grown up, or so I'm told. But that's where I spent my quasi-formative years.
I never knew your dad was a Baptist minister.
Yeah, I recall, witnessing Fourth and Dumb. That was an early memory. When it was Earl Carr got the pitch swinging wide and needed the fourth down on like the 29 and didn't quite get it. Remember that? I remember there's even back then I thought Georgia won one time 10-7. I thought, man, this is sort of boring. They don't score many points, and that has changed now. There were some hells of popping games there, and especially during the 90s, and that it's just anybody who's ever been, I think, realizes why it should never move from there.
Exactly, because someone thinks it's going to help recruiting. Give me a break. How about just a tradition of the game? So Let's hope as long as we're alive, it's going to be there anyway, and we'll do that. You know, what's interesting is this game was a no-hoper for Florida when the season started. Chalk it off, going to be a loss, going to get beat probably bad by Georgia, and they still might. All of a sudden, though, there's a little fairy dust out there. Things are starting to happen to Georgia and have been with all their issues of driving and tickets and death in one case. And now their star player is injured. Now, people say, oh, don't worry about that, reload. Let me tell you something. You don't reload a Brock Bowers because not only was he a great player, he was the go-to guy. Go back and look at last year's game. He caught 5 balls, 71-yard touchdown. He was always a bailout guy. He was there when the offense wasn't going. So I don't want to build this up too much to say this is a chance that Florida will win. But it could be a little different, especially early in the game. Now, Georgia's defense is suffocating, but they're beatable. You know, I've seen teams like that lose there. So am I just sort of dreaming? Am I just sort of punching at shadows and making up stuff? Or am I being Mary Poppins here? Is there anything at all to this?
Not totally. No, I don't think so. Because, I mean, you're right. Bowers, he is just he's listed as a tight end, but he's in everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, plays in the slot. You know, he'll play running back. He is a breed unto himself. You know, one of one.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I mean, they have talented tight ends behind him, but they're not nearly as. I mean, they're not proven. They're young, and so there's you can't replace that guy. But I don't think it's like you like if Carson Beck were hurt, I think it'd be more because you know that's your trigger guy. You know?
Really,
you can't do without your quarterback because then it'd really be a question mark. I think that they can make up for it against Florida and they survive. I mean, it's funny how you know their schedule finally isn't completely cream puffs for the next month.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they're good enough to survive and have him ready for the SEC championship game in the playoff, which is what they're thinking, of course. But just the fact that has happened, and you know they haven't played Georgia ball this year. Of course, you know, by Georgia ball, it's the standard that we've seen the last 2 years when they were just
they just turned that good.
Yeah. And they haven't. I mean, their most impressive game was Kentucky, obviously when they showed what they can do. But but last year, in the last 2 years, it seemed like every game was a Kentucky game for them.
Yeah.
And you know, I mean, the last 2 years with the Florida game, the gulf was so wide. It sort of reminded me of like the Dream Team in '92 when like USA playing Angola. You knew that there was just no chance, that they would have. Now you can come up with conjure scenarios, like I said, if with the right breaks and things go right.
You drop a ball, you turn over the ball, you get a bad kickoff, things happen, and all of a sudden the tenor. I go back to this one game with Spurrier a lot because he talks about it in his book, and he also talks about it a lot. The Clemson game is last year at Duke. Clemson was heavily favored, and Duke had a losing record. They go in there and they beat Clemson. He talked about in the book how all of a sudden some of these players that were like second-string players started playing like crazy. The second-string running back making all kind of yardage and guys catching the ball everywhere. Sometimes magical things happen like that. Now, we saw a little touch of that. I'm not going to say this is necessarily going to happen. I thought Graham Mertz was sensational. And just his grit and his determination, the way he kept coming, wouldn't give up. I mean, the guy got killed and kept getting up. And they're excited about him. His leadership, he's really throwing the ball well. Again, I'm not saying Florida's going to beat Georgia. But all you want is a little bit of hope. You want an idea that, well, maybe we can be competitive for 2 or 3 quarters against, although they're not ranked number one, they're the best team in the country, I think, because they won the championship, and you have to knock them out of it. So I'm pretty optimistic about this game, and I wasn't last weekend. I saw just enough to make me believe that things are possible, and I think we know what has to be fixed. Obviously, the Florida defense still has, as Shane calls it, needs to have gap integrity. They're not where they're supposed to be. Offensive line is spotty at best, but the plays are being made by Ricky Pearsall and Arlis Boardingham, and even the freshman Trey Wilson have been remarkable. And when you make plays like that, you've probably been on a golf course someplace or maybe in a pickup game where one of your guys gets hot. Suddenly he makes everything within 20 feet on the green. The ball starts rolling right. Or you get in a basketball game, the guy knocks down 5 or 6 points, and things happen. Things in sports happen. And suddenly momentum shifts like that. Now, I know I'm creating a scenario that's probably not believable to a lot of people. I'm just saying, I've been around this for a long time, David, and you have too. I've seen these things happen. And so that's why they're called upsets and rivalries.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think the scenario you're painting, it's not far. I mean, you won't be given a breathalyzer test and blow 6.0,
yeah,
for doing it. Although, a lot of people will be in, a week from Saturday, be blowing 6.0 in that range in Jacksonville. But I mean, based on what happened Saturday, this in South Carolina, you don't need a straight jacket to say those things, or you don't to say those things, because it wasn't just the win, but it was how they won. If going in there and being down 10 points with 8 minutes to go, and having to make clutch play after clutch play. I mean, the fourth down plays, you're thinking, man, that was I don't, South Carolina, bad defense, we know that, but you still, you're on the road and 70,000 people, 75,000 people are screaming at you, and you haven't won on the road in forever. And, just to come back like that, I mean, it showed something that we hadn't seen in quite a while from a Florida team. And
David, excuse me, go ahead.
Yeah, it just, I think at point, Billy has preached and preached and preached on getting guys with character, guys with the right culture, guys that buy in. And, when you're down, 2 scores, middle of the fourth quarter, that's when, if you have it there, that's when that stuff has to show. And for the first time, you sort of show that there wasn't any, all right, we're going to mail it in from here. You got the feeling that they you could see the confidence building as they went down there. And, if I was a South Carolina fan, I would have been going, oh man, you can just see it coming, and I mean, it took some luck. I mean, the carom ball from Pearsall to Wilson, but those are the kind of things that happen when you get that mojo going.
That's right. Yeah. I love that comment by Billy. He quoted Spurrier, God smiled on the Gators, the Spurrier quote. But I mean, I don't know if the message is hope. I know this much. Graham Mertz became a hero, I thought, in the way he performed. So much courage to stand there and take hits, get knocked down, crush, get back up, make a good throw, and accurate. We've seen the numbers on him. There's an awful lot of people who owe him an apology. He's become quite a college quarterback. To have ranked him as the last or 12th, 13th quarterback in the SEC was an insult. And while I'm at it, while I'm on my bandbox today, I'm sick and tired of the Paul Feinbaum people and others telling me every year the same crap. Kentucky's going to be really good this year. This is their year to win the East. They're really good. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, I hear it every year. Or this is South Carolina's year. Well, at least I'll give them a shot. They're 6-1. Or trying to sell me Ole Miss or sell me a team that I know is on a championship team. And it's an insult to think that they rank Florida down below Vandy. When did Florida become Vandy? I said this morning. I've been to Nashville. I didn't see 3 national championship trophies in their case. Did you? They're not Vandy. Florida's not Vandy.
I did. I actually went looking there one time for a national championship thing. Had a day to kill, and I did find the national championship bowling trophy, and because I didn't know there was such a thing. But I'm into Joe Biddle. I'm sure you're a good friend and
my good buddy, my very good buddy. Yes.
Yeah, he had mentioned. He said, because I was sort of joking. He says, "Well, they did win a national championship once in bowling." I said, "No way." He says, "Yeah," because I didn't even know that was an NCAA sport, and I had to go by and look at it just to confirm it the next day.
Yeah.
And there it was. Yeah, but I mean, to your point, it was ridiculous. There was one thing that had him with 3.5 wins. It's like, come on.
Stuart Mandel picked him to win 3 and Billy to be fired.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's sort of like and I hate to use the old term that Rush Limbaugh used, but the drive-by media, who just from 40,000 feet. They
it actually is the correct term.
Yeah, and because it does fit in this case where you don't really know what's going on, you just have an impression and maybe some pre-existing biases. Say, like they say, you saw Graham Mertz struggle, and you think,
yeah, we lose you, David.
You don't have the time. I mean, because when you're trying to delve into these things and really see, you can just form a quick opinion, and that's what they, But it was just there's no excuse for 3.5. I mean, when was the last time Florida had 3 wins or 3.5?
Yeah, really. How about never? They lost.
Yeah.
They had 0 wins one time, but never 3.
Yeah, I could buy the 5.5 if everything went wrong.
Yeah.
But the 3 wins was just ridiculous. And I mean, you could see that Mertz had potential, had a bit. He had the capability if some things could be corrected, and he got in the right system, and that's what has happened. And you're right. Saturday, he reminded me of an old John Wayne film where he's just taking bullets, bam, 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 but he's just still watching them, and he still gets up and he shoot high noon, and he wins the shootout at the end.
Yeah, good analogy, like an old Western. Well, right. I mean, and I know here's the other thing, and I know I got accused of being a sunshine pumper and all that. Chris Storey said last night, well, you always picked him to win 9 games. No, Chris, I did not pick him to win 9 games, okay? And I haven't picked him to win 9 games in the last 15 years. But nonetheless, it's perception. The fact is that if you're not, I don't want to say family because it sounds like a bunch of homers. If you're not following the team every day and you don't listen and you don't read what's going on, you can't understand how important this win was to South Carolina. My good buddy out in Denver, Joe Williams, is a smart football guy. He said, well, it's just South Carolina. Joe, you don't get it. It's not just who it was. It's the fact the way they won the game, as you said, to come back and win it and win the game in the end and make plays. It's a statement it's a program game. I mean, that's the kind of things you build a program on. I don't care if it's South Carolina or Timbuktu, the way they played that game. And I think a lot of Gator fans got excited about this. Now, okay, now we got something to think about. Maybe this will be an interesting season. And, they got 5 to go. I mean, one more win, and they've beat the 5.5, right? It's already so. Mm-hmm. How do you see it breaking down with what's left, David, the games left? I know that obviously we think Georgia's a loss. But other interesting games there, like LSU, they got a bad defense. Missouri's better now. FSU's got a good team. I mean, they only got to win a couple. They win 3 games. They had a fantastic year.
Arkansas obviously is the most likely. Arkansas is playing better than its record has indicated. I think the last 4 games. I don't think they've lost a game by more than 7 points in the last 4, and they're obviously there are no gimmies here, but that's as close to. And that's a game that may be the only game they're going to be favored. In fact, I'm sure it is because they're certainly not going to be favored against LSU in Baton Rouge or Missouri in on the road, and FSU, and it's going to be probably ranked. Even if they lose, they'll still be ranked in the top 10 coming in here. Yeah. So that Arkansas will be the only game where they're favored to do this. So obviously they had that would be a must win, and then you just figure, well, maybe they can, the old term steal one. Tougher. The steal game would be probably at Missouri, and although, I'm not. I'm just not that sold on FSU. I mean, I think FSU is really good, but I still just have a hard time believing that they're not going to be in Florida at Florida Field or Steve Spurrier Field, as you say. Here with what's at stake. That and their strengths match up to or their weaknesses sort of match up to Florida's strengths. And so they can. That might be the game still, but if they win any of those, then it's, strike up the band. If they win Arkansas and can get any of those other games, it's going to be tough. But we knew it'd be tough. I mean, the best scenario I think people thought going into Georgia would have been 6-1, but 5-2. You say, okay, that's why that win Saturday was so big. just if nothing else, just from a mathematical standpoint.
Sets up the second half of the season, as Mike Nix says here, was critical in terms of setting it up, because if you think about it, they should beat Arkansas, they could beat Missouri, and think about how important the FSU game becomes. Now, we've seen FSU Florida games. I've seen every one of them since they started. I know there's stuff going. FSU's defense is not that good. It's my old theory that the team's going to get better or they get worse. If Florida gets better, FSU gets worse, they're coming to the Swamp, and you got this game on the line for the respectability of the season. That's a huge game for Florida. Huge game. Yeah. Think about the Swamp that day.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's going to be one of those throwback games. It could be from the 90s. But you're right. But even before that, I remember when neither team was that good, weird things happened. What was the 1 year they were? One was 0-5, one was 5-0.
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah, I think Florida was 0-5. I think.
Yeah, 0-5, and they won that. Yeah. And just I recall the choke at Doak. I mean, it was unbelievable. That's just the kind of weirdness that happens in this series.
Really weird. That was I've said this many times. That was a crazy game for me, because I was freelancing back then. I happened to have this assignment from the New York Times to cover the lead, to write the lead that day. And so it's an early game, which is great. I thought, well, this is going to be a lot of pressure. They have like a 5 o'clock deadline in the afternoon. So this thing is going to, it's like 28-7, whatever it was. I'm thinking, I'm sitting pretty here, man. I started writing my lead in the fourth quarter. I get the thing all ready to go except the score. And guess what happens? I have to tear up the entire story, call the New York Times this. I have to rewrite this.
Yeah.
The choke at Doe was a big one for me. And so, yeah, I mean, and it was the worst quote-unquote loss that wasn't a loss for Spurrier in the history of his game. The game that he had in hand there, they couldn't stop anybody. So that was a bizarre one. And I go back to the first time FSU won. I was at that game. Yeah, a guy named Fred Biletnikoff called a touchdown pass from Steve Tinsley. We said, "Who's this Biletnikoff guy? Where's he from? We never heard of that before."
Yeah. That was the old. It's like a death in the family game, right?
Yeah. And they wore those never FSU never things on the jersey, and it was quite an ordeal there that game. And FSU won that game. And Steve Spurrier talks about how Tinsley threw the ball over the head of Alan Trammell. He said Trammell didn't think he could throw it that far. Well, guess what he did? So many great wins. Of course, a 52-20 to beat your rival like that for a BCS championship was a big night. It's been a wonderful series, and now we're seeing that maybe there's a shot here that's going to return to a rivalry again, and it's going to be really exciting, I think, and looking forward to it. What's crazy?
I mean, it's great when FSU is good, when all these teams are good. I mean, there's never a better time in this state for covering football than the 90s when everybody was good,
Yeah.
And
And
now, it's even though you can take a lot of Schadenfreude joy in what's happened to FSU the last 5 years, but now it's good to see them back doing this, and it makes every Saturday more exciting and building up.
Little problem in Miami about taking a knee.
Yeah. There's still an issue there. We're seeing, Mario, he's sort of living up to his reputation as, good recruiter, not much of a game coach.
Really?
And
that's the dumbest play I've seen in 25 years.
Yeah. And what made it so much worse is that he'd done it, 3 years before
in Oregon.
And you figure, all right, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you, or whatever. It's like, holy cat, Mark. I mean, don't you? And he just had no good explanation other than
he didn't.
Yeah, that's just the way it was. And so, I mean, heck, 3 years from now, he may be doing the same thing.
Yeah.
If this keeps up, it won't be at Miami. It may be at FIU or somewhere like that. But,
speaking of dumb, did you hear Shane's Beamer's explanation for his diatribe in the locker room? It got worse. He said they began blaming it on. So we said we understand the players did, and then he talked about how at the end of the game he broke his foot and he couldn't concentrate. It just got worse and worse and worse. Shane, keep your mouth shut. You'd be better off. And
that game was for them because I mean they're at that point where people are still behind him. He's not in any trouble, but they had such momentum going into the year after their big finish last year, and it just it hadn't caught on, and I mean, they got more issues than they're in year 3, so you'd think that he would have patched up some of the holes that have been showing by now. But man, you take Spencer Rattler away from that team, and they got big problems.
Big time.
I mean, he gives them a puncher's chance against most teams. But
you got to have do more than have good special teams, and I'm sure he's a fine young coach. But he reminds me of a lapdog who just comes, "How about me? Look at how good I am. Look at my team. I'm so happy." That doesn't correlate to me. Although I know he's done some good things in South Carolina, but he's no Steve Spurrier, that's for sure. So let me tell you about a sponsor while we're waiting on Loren. Loren's got trivia for us tonight, and I'm going to tell you about some of our friends that you might want to know about. Very fine sponsor that provides quite a service for you up here. If you ever need MRIs, especially pay attention because this is a good deal for you. Titan MRI there in Gainesville. You can take the short drive to Gainesville like many others are doing. No insurance is no problem. You can pay cash or credit card, same-day scheduling available. That's unheard of in the medical business. So you can start feeling good about this today because Titan MRI is North Central Florida's premier independent MRI facility. Check them out. Come see why hundreds of patients are visiting our Gainesville location from Ocala, Marion County, and the villages. That's TitanMRI.com. I hear Loren Meadows in the house. Let's go get him and see what kind of tantalizing trivia he's got. David, have you ever answered one of Loren's questions?
I've answered them, but not correctly.
He's pretty good. He does a good job. He just got back from South Carolina and a trip there, and he's birthday boy. He had his big birthday last week. I think he's 28 again, unless he thinks he is. What's up, Loren? How you doing?
How you guys doing this evening?
Good,
Loren.
Good.
A belated happy birthday.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Dude, you look younger.
22nd time.
Yeah. It might be a new camera, but you look younger. You really do.
Appreciate it.
Marcia's taking good care of you as usual. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So before we do trivia, we're having a nice discussion tonight. David and I have made a conscious decision, and we're going to go now back to the old days. We're invoking the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. All right. We don't have to live up to that. Okay. Florida didn't tell us what to say. It is what it is. And David grew up there. He knows what the game has been. It's one of the great names for any football rivalry ever. And people say, well, it can't be politically correct. It might drink too much. It's like that's going to make them drink more. What makes them drink more is losing. That's what makes them drink more.
Yeah.
So
the whole time, Buddy's going to get out his old fake binoculars that are actually a flask and fill it with some Jack Daniels.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hip flask, baby.
Yeah. Well, a friend of mine that's a big Ohio State guy texted me a couple days ago, and he even said, "When is the cocktail party?" So if Buckeye fans know it's the cocktail party, then Florida and Georgia folks can go ahead and call it the cocktail party as well. I mean, let's just put it out there.
It's not going to be changed. Too late now. It's out there. It'll never change. It'll always be the cocktail party to the Hartsville Gator fans. Yeah, for sure. Well, Loren, you saw the game in person, and you wrote about it in your analysis. What did it feel like there in Williams-Brice when the Gators came back and won that game and played a decent defense and had that huge win? I know you were there and saw it and felt it. What was it like?
You know, it's funny because I actually thought after South Carolina blocked that kick, Kyle Curtis and I were sitting up in the press box, and I kind of turned to him and said, they can still win this game. And, he kind of looked at me and I said, it just, it's got to be one step at a time, one play at a time. And I think that, when they were.
Lost you, Loren. Hello, you there, Loren?
Yeah, you got me?
You're breaking up. Yeah, say it again.
Oh, okay. You got me now?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Basically when they were down 10, and getting the ball back, I said, if they go down here and score here and get a stop, I think they could be in good shape. And, that's basically what they did is they were able to put 2 drives together and get the one stop that the defense needed, and just kind of take things over. And you could tell that the people I think it was just a jolt to the system to South Carolina, where they really didn't handle the moment well, where they kind of had to defend the lead a little bit and keep it in tow. And I think it just once I really even with the 4th down plays that were needed on that last drive, it just was never in doubt to me. And I think it was actually one of the better games that Billy Napier called from an offensive standpoint. I thought that the timing was good for some plays. If you remember, I think one of the key plays was I want to say it was maybe a 2nd down play or maybe a 1st down play where they had kind of been throwing the ball, and then they snuck a little inside zone play for about, I think it went for about 10, 11 yards there, and kind of got them down and kind of centered things again on that last drive. And I thought that, that was a great call there. And
he's getting laryngitis.
Yeah, Loren like dropping out part of the way. Yeah, back to your point there, and David and I said earlier, we just didn't think that was going to happen. That it wasn't going to happen. They were going to drop behind, and no one believed they'd come back. But number 15 did, and he played so beautifully. I got so much respect for that guy. He took shots, man. He got hammered, and he got up every single time, and I think he inspired his team. And they missed some assignments. They had sacks. Yeah, right. Exactly. How could you not be? You're talking about a guy that really balled out, man, completely. You just put it on the line, and you think, man, if that guy's going to do that, I'm going to do that, and it just inspires players. You saw some of that in that team, and you're right. It's how a team responds to the moment, and South Carolina did not respond well, and Florida did, and I think that's the difference. And you build on that, Loren. I think I said earlier, David. I think that's the kind of win that you can really count on your program as one that helps you get where you want to be. And David and I both agree that there was a bigger than just ordinary game against South Carolina, wasn't it, David?
Yeah, because what it meant, you look at the records of the 2 teams and where they are, you sort of, if you're not familiar, you go, oh, this is just a no count game. But given, the 1-7 record that Billy had coming into that game, and the fact that it was really an important game for South Carolina to reestablish its identity somewhat, and how Florida still had the Kentucky blues, and just the whole atmosphere was still bad, and just from an emotional standpoint going into this bye week, having some a springboard to go into that. I mean, you don't overstate it, but man, it was not just a regular W. It wasn't like going up there 15 years ago. Yeah, you just go out there and take care of business. Another win at South Carolina. I mean, this was another one of about like the 3rd must-win game they had this year. Where if they didn't, it was just be sackcloth and ashes around here.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, and couple that with the fact that. South Carolina tends to think, under Beamer the last couple of years, we talked about it, they call it Cocktober. And, they seem to really think that this is when they've kind of been able to turn their season around. And, I mean, to go up there, and, I mean, they were a confident bunch coming off the bye week and things like that. And even though I thought Florida had the superior roster, I mean, they had to weather some blows there, man. And like you guys talked about Graham Mertz, I mean, Graham Mertz is a dude. I was telling somebody earlier, if Florida didn't have the 2 losses and they were undefeated, he'd probably be a Heisman Trophy candidate with the way that he's been playing. I mean, he's been playing that well. I mean, and people in Big Ten country, I talked to a lot of those people. I mean, they're shocked at how well he's done. And I mean, I think it's just the change of scenery has just been great for him. And you look at him, he's
They low start again. I don't know if you guys saw the interview or not, David.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Saw the interview on SEC Nation yesterday. Doring had him on and Mertz on. I was really impressed. I even got the interview and I can't get it to play. I wish I could. And he was.
Can you hear me?
Well, we heard you, but I can now, but you dropped out earlier.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Dropping out. We got most of that. But the point being that Mertz in that interview on SEC Nation was so mature the way he approached it. And you hear guys say, well, my teammates tell me, but no. Mertz may say, no, this is a program win for our trainers, everybody involved. They've been with us from the beginning. They got us through this. And he was so sincere, and he sounded like a guy who, someone said he sounded like Joe Burrow. I mean, he made you believe that he had a team behind him, and that he felt like this team, they were a band of brothers. That's what it's about. I saw a bonding there with this guy I hadn't seen before. And, man, I tell you, I just love his game. I love his competitive spirit. And don't forget, they got him another year.
Yeah. It's premature to talk about the quarterback battle next year, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting because Lagway's come in with such hype and everything. But, it just – I don't even want to start. The whole thing of Lagway versus Mertz and how that might pan out, and
who cares?
That is one juicy story.
Yeah, who
one
cares?
Juicy story. We have plenty of time to get into that.
Yeah,
right. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me, buddy?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this to the Florida fans right now: there will be.
We don't hear you. Loren, we heard you say, we don't hear you now. You dropped out. Here's what you said, Loren. I'm going to say this to the Florida fans right now. We never heard it. Sorry, man. I know Cox gets you screwed up on your Wi-Fi there.
Yeah.
You say it again.
I think you're saying that this is Mertz's team.
Is that what you said, David?
Basically.
Okay.
Yeah. That's basically what I'm saying. Yes, sir.
Yeah. But it's sort of like, Arch Manning. There's never been a more hyped high school. Well, probably since Peyton, coming in, as far. But got off the bench at Tech. People thought immediately this guy's going to come in and be his uncle, But it's not it. True freshman coming in and taking over and beating out a guy who's been in there, like for it's just not.
It is his team. He made it that clear the other night. So and Lagway's got time. And hey, look. Maybe he plays in 3 games in red shirts. I don't know. Sure. Worry about that later. Get your quarterback now. Never mind what might be.
Right.
What I saw tells me this is the quarterback of this team. He can lead. They're going to win another couple or 3 games. Going to have a decent year, and it's all because Graham Mertz went doing about his business, Loren, the right way. He came there. He got criticized. People ripped him, insulted him. He just stayed with it, never looked up, and kept on working. And that's the result of what we saw. Loren, it's time to get trivia going here. Let's see if we can get this recording here now. Hold on a second. I lost it. Hold on a second. Get it back. So, all right. Loren does this every week. He goes down to Spurrier's and does this. Here it is.
Loren Meadows with Gator Bait Media here, coming to you live from Spurrier's Gridiron Grill with Tuesday Night Trivia. Who was the last Florida Gator to rush for over 200 yards in a single game? Be the first to answer and you'll be entered into our monthly drawing for swag and other prizes from Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Gator Bait Media. With Tuesday Night Trivia, this is Loren Meadows.
All right, tell them what they get, Don Pardo. What if they get this thing right? Are we picking a winner tonight, Loren?
No, we got we'll pick a winner next week.
All right, so he goes into the hopper.
Got me?
Yeah, we got you. Goes into the hopper.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it goes into the
Yeah, we call it the hopper.
We'll pick a winner next week.
Mm-hmm. So there's lots of options to go to there. I'm not going to guess. I think I have an idea. I'm just going to say this too, by the way. People think Steve Spurrier was all passing team. He was not. He ran the ball a lot. All right, so you got an idea, David? You want to take a whack at it?
Man, that's a good one. Fred Taylor?
That'd be a good guess.
Yeah, that's a good guess.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, we got a few coming in here. Let's see what people are guessing who might be. And speaking of run the ball, is Florida going to get back to that running game? Or did they get both their backs in there? They're going to run the ball more. They have the option now, which makes them more dangerous, Loren, is they are a run-pass team, which is what Billy wants. I like the fact that he's throwing the ball more on first down. To me, that's a key down where you're not going to end up, if you don't end up 2nd and 8, and those 2nd and 8s will kill you. And you throw the ball even 5-6 yards, you get a chance to have 2nd and 5, whatever. I thought the play calling was much better. I even like the nuances, guys. Remember when back in the old days, he used to talk about ball handling? Mertz's ball handling early on when he faked a couple of jet sweeps or whatever, I think it helps hold the linebackers. There's not enough of it that goes on. Peyton Manning was a great ball handler, a great ball faker. I don't mean play action pass. I get that. This is actually sort of misdirection. I like that early in the game. I thought their offenses looked really good marching down the field and scoring. So ball handling is part of it, I think, Loren.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the misdirection and things that the Billy Napier offense uses with the motions, it allows the quarterback to get a lot of information. And, they throw in the quick screen and the bubble screens is equivalent to throwing like a hitch or a slant out there, particularly when you're getting 5 to 6 yards and that kind of thing. But, yeah, I mean, even if you just, kind of fake that ending around sometime, it forces the to the eye discipline, it kind of works on the eye discipline of the linebackers and the safeties. That's why you see those drag routes and things being wide open when you come out the back end of those on the bootleg and different things like that. And, I think they'll still be committed to the run, but, I think, you're kind of starting to see that, with the way that the receivers are developing, like we talked about last week, it's a little different tempo with Eugene Wilson, the third, when he's in there. And so I think they're starting to develop. They were a little bit more 11 personnel, which is 1 back, 1 tight end, and 3 receivers instead of the 12 personnel with the 2 tight ends. So I think they're starting to kind of find the group they like to be out there. And, they're still going to run the football, but, I think they're going to start to kind of try to get their chunk yards on the ground, maybe with the screen game and some of those things. You even saw Eugene Wilson, the third, in the backfield, and Coach Napier talked about maybe making that kind of emphasis to make sure he really touches the ball as part of their scheme. So, yeah.
That's kind of the problem that David and I have with our writing. We have a little hitch, a little fade, right? We have those slant. We get slanted in our column, so we have to get that out of our columns to be a better writer too, as a matter of fact.
And drop more than a few balls over the years.
Yes, we have, and quite often, I might say. All right, Loren, I hope you're back in now. You dropped out a little bit. So take a look at the list and see if you see anybody that looks familiar to you on some of those guesses. Once again, repeat the question. Loren, repeat the question.
The question was, who was the last Florida rusher to have 2,000 yards?
200 yards in a game, yeah.
200 yards in a game.
It sounds like an Eric Rett stat, but I know it's not. But anyway, since that time, I'm pretty sure. So, all right, there you have it. You got a couple of minutes to get in, Loren to get in, and Hopper as well. All right, guys, it's Georgia game week. It's the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. It's the team is a little banged up, coming in with a quarterback that's not all that experienced. There's no sense in Bennett when it comes to experience. They got lots and lots of players. Who knows the name of the backup to tight end?
Oh, I knew it. I knew it about 5 o'clock today when I was reading up on Bowers, but went in one eye and out the other.
Yeah, I got it from Tony Barnhart.
Oscar Delp, is that it?
That's it, Oscar Delp.
Okay, yeah.
Good hands,
Awesome.
Not as fast as obviously. Look. There's only one Brock Bowers. I mean, let's be honest. He's not just a good player. He's a guy that the safety valve of that team, the playmaker, the go-to guy, the heart and soul of the offense. And in my mind, yeah, they may have good players, but you just aren't going to dial up another Brock Bowers out of there. And now, what does it mean? I don't know. Anybody seen a line at all? It's been too early. I would say it'd be Georgia in 12 or 13, I guess. But that might move the line a little bit.
Oh, yeah, I mean, he's worth a couple of points.
I think I saw 23 and a half.
Really?
I'm taking that.
Yeah.
I think it's about 23 and a half.
23 and a half.
Yeah.
I might not have taken it last 2 years, but this year I think 24 might be a bit much.
Yeah, I think I'm taking that. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think it would be a rout. I think it might be a 9 or 10 point game, maybe. But again, depends upon the ability of Georgia's defense is very good. That means they got to move the rock and they got to be able to run the ball some, and Graham's got to be on target. So there's a shot here. It's all you can ask. Okay, now time to answer the question, Loren. What's the answer to that question?
The answer is Seatric Faith.
Mm-hmm. We had a bunch of people guess that. Mm-hmm. Who was the first one? Who was the first one?
The other was Buck Wade.
Now, who was Buck Wade got it first?
Buck Wade got it first.
Congratulations.
Right out the gate.
That's a good football name, Buck Wade. I like that. So congratulations, Buck.
Buck Wade.
Yeah.
Good.
So it means you're going to be
when did Faison get that? Against who?
It was 19 don't quote, it was Kentucky. I think it was 2003 maybe against Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
I know it was Kentucky. I can't remember the year, but it was against Kentucky.
Yeah. All right, one game to talk about before we go. Tennessee, Alabama. I don't Tennessee winning this game.
No way. too simplistic on offense. I just don't think they have enough. And I think Alabama's built to, stop it. Last year, Hendon Hooker made a lot of plays with his legs last season. Last year's game. The game was played in Knoxville. I think in Tuscaloosa. That's a tall order.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Tennessee's sort of flipped the script this year, being a defense first, offense second kind of team, and they haven't. Obviously, Joe Milton is not Hendon Hooker. They're figuring that. I mean,
they're not as good a team. They're just not a good a team. People keep thinking, well, they were good last year. I mean, no, that's not how it works.
Right.
They have. He's had some good wrinkles, by the way, and Shane says the same thing. Loren says about his offense is about 6 plays, some variations of the 6 plays, and he says it's not hard to defend that. That'd be a break for sure. But Florida was able to beat them. That's probably the reason, as they were able to defend it. So
if you can handle the tempo, I mean, the tempo is what gets you, and then the tempo gets you, and then they give you a different look, and then you lose your eye discipline, and then somebody's back behind you, and then there you go.
Yeah.
But as far as they what they scored, first time Heupel won a game scoring 20 points this past weekend. They did a nice job on Texas A&M, which a lot of people keep wanting to give Texas A&M a lot of credit. I kind of feel the way you do, buddy, about Kentucky. It's the same thing. It's Texas A&M, but then
I've heard enough about Texas A&M, Kentucky, and South Carolina, and all that crap. Show me. I'm tired of hearing about it.
Right.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting how it turns out. Well, anyway, you guys have a great weekend, and we'll take the weekend off. David, you can take a couple of days off now. You can breathe a little bit. You don't have to worry about writing, right?
Bye week comes at a good time. Yep, right. You want to write in the middle here, where
it's probably bye week for you. I would imagine you're going to take off and go somewhere. I was hoping to get out of town this weekend. It's not going to happen. But anyway, we'll be here as we always are every night and every day on Gator Bait. You can read Loren on Gator Bait, and along with Fran Spears and some guy named Buddy Martin, a couple others. And we encourage you folks to go to GatorBaitMedia.com and check it out, see if you like it. Thank you for the flood of people who have now joined Gator Bait the last 3 weeks. We do appreciate that. And of course, this podcast is heard both right now primarily on YouTube. It will be for a while, a few more weeks, Brendan says, on Facebook, but it's going to go away just on YouTube. Love the show. Love doing it with you guys. You guys did a fabulous job. Have a great night, a great weekend, and have a good time. And I'm out of here for a while. Take care, David, and take care, Loren. Thank you.
Good night.
All right. Good night.
All right, folks, I'll wrap up the Buddy Martin Show another Tuesday night. Try to get Brendan back here soon. And he's hopefully still is feeling better. I want to say a happy birthday to my good friend Ty. Ty Ford he's up in the mountains right now. He's having a birthday with his mama tonight and some friends up there, and so he's a big Gator fan. So you'll be hearing more about Tyler Ford soon, one of my new best friends. So also we'll be back tomorrow night. We've got Allie. She's going to be on with us. We've got David Moulton, and we'll also have Edgar Thompson on vacation. So good show tomorrow night. Hope you'll join us then. Thanks to our sponsors tonight, to TitanMRI.com, Melville Law, and of course, Renstar Medical Research, which we're going to tell you about tonight. Always like telling about it. Renstar, of course, a proven reputation. It's a high-quality, patient-centered clinical research facility. Renstar has cutting-edge clinical research trials in Ocala, things like dementia, Alzheimer's, psoriasis, osteoarthritis, migraines, fibromyalgia, many of the things that affect us right here in our community. And they're doing good work there. They'd like you to join them for some of these clinical trials. Go to renstar.net and find out how you can join. In some cases, compensation is available for time and travel. They've had over 700 of these clinical research trials since they started in 1998, and they continue to partner with prominent pharmaceutical and biomedical companies throughout the medical industry. Renstar Medical Research, seeking tomorrow's answers to the health questions of today. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. See you back here tomorrow night, same time, same station on The Buddy Martin Show.